For our movement project, we decided to do a squat. To begin a squat, stand with feet shoulder width apart and your arms at your sides. Then extend arm out and pull in elbows. Bend at the knees and return to the initial position. The purpose of a squat is to build muscle in the hamstrings, quadriceps, and calves.
The first phase of the squat is the standing phase. The movement requires an anatomical position with the palms facing posteriorly. The plane and axis this occurs in is the frontal plane and the anterior and posterior axis. The prime movers are no movement, and the synergists are the gastrocnemius muscles, vastus lateralis, medialis, intermedius, rectus femoris, semitendinitis, semimembranosus, and the biceps femoris.
The second phase of the squat is the downward squat. This movement uses eccentric flexion of the thigh at the hip joint and concentric flexion of the arm at the glenohumeral joint. It's in the sagittal plane and the medial-lateral axis. The prime mover is gravity, and the synergist is the vastus lateralis, medialis, intermedius, and rectus femoris.
The third phase of the squat is the full squat. The movement requires isometric contraction, flexion of the thigh at the hip joint, isometric contraction flexion of the arm at the glenohumeral joint. The plane and axis this occurs in is the sagittal plane and the medial lateral axis. The prime movers are the gluteus maximus, medius minimus, vastus lateralis, medialis, and intermedius, and the rectus femoris. The synergists are the semitendinitis and the semimembranosus, and the biceps femoris.
The fourth stage of the squat is the upward squat. This phase uses concentric extension of the thigh at the hip joint and eccentric extension of the arm at the glenohumeral joint. It's in the sagittal plane and medial-lateral axis. The prime movers are the vastus lateralis, medialis, and intermedius, and the rectus femoris. And the synergists are the bicep femoris, adductor longus, magnus, brevis, gracilis, and gluteus maximus, medius, and minimus.
In the final stage of the squat, you return to the standing phase. The movement is the anatomical position with palms facing posteriorly. The plane and axis this occurs in is the frontal plane and the anterior and posterior axis. There is no movement for the prime movers. The synergists are the gastrocnemius muscles, vastus lateralis, medialis, intermedius, rectus femoris, semitendinitis, semimembranosus, and the biceps femoris.